What's up YouTube, welcome to the detailed review of the Suzuki V-Strom SX250. So 4 days with the motorcycle. I was riding this motorcycle inside city, I was riding on highways and I tried to do some off-roading, and these are my thoughts about this motorcycle after using this long, around 300 or 400 kilometers. So let's directly jump into the topic. So first of all, this is the youngest sibling of the V-Strom series, which is the 250. I featured the 650 a few months ago, and in fact this V-Strom, the 250, has carried few things from the bigger V-Stroms like a wheelbase and the looks, few of the off-roading bits. So in general, yes, if we see the looks, actually this motorcycle has got a lot of road presence. It's a head turner design. If you see over here, this is basically the jigsaw headlight, and Suzuki has successfully made a small cowl across this portion connecting this petrol tank with that headlight, with that cowl setup, and it is just looking kick-ass. Because if you see from here, it's a normal fuel tank, you can see that. So this cowl comes in and few screws over here, and they have successfully made it look like an ADV, so that's a good thing. And in the front we have this double beak setup, and the suspension is actually feels like a street bike suspension. The travel is not as great as an off-roading motorcycle, but the highlighting part is the tire. This comes with a bigger wheel in the front as well. The tire is an off-road centric tire, and it is giving ample grip during off-roads, and it comes with vibra brakes. The feedback is good, not something great to boast about, but still it is good. And coming out to this side, we can see the sweetest engine from Suzuki, and that is doing its job pretty well, because this is one hell of an engine which is so refined and so composed, be it on the red line or whatever conditions you are pushing onto. So that's a great move, taking a successful engine to this kind of a motorcycle. So we'll come to the engine a little later. And to this side, and there you can see the dual pod exhaust, which really looks nice in that black tone color. And the seats are really comfortable, very wide. And if you look over here, we have an aluminum top rack setup here. This comes standard on the bike. So what I heard from Suzuki is that Suzuki is gonna launch some accessories like top box where you can buy and fit it over there. And towards the back, we have the typical Suzuki taillight, which looks decent. And on the right side as well, the eye-catchy thing is the button tires that you see, which is more off-road centric. Yeah, one more thing I missed telling is the knuckle protection, which is coming stock with this motorcycle, and the windscreen. The windscreen is actually giving you protection till a speed of 90 and all. I'm pretty comfortable with it, and bringing the knuckle protection standard is a good thing. But overall, this actually looks like an off-road motorcycle, in other words, like a dirt motorcycle. So let me just hop on the motorcycle. So if you see from here, this tank is just like a 150cc motorcycle, and you can see that the cowl has been connected to this, and it has made a nice move. So you'll get a feel that you are sitting on an adventure motorcycle. Only one thing is the motorcycle is a bit taller for my height, but that's okay. Being an adventure motorcycle, you actually need clearance. So there is a small USB port over here, which is also a nice touch. You don't have to tamper the wiring kit for your mobile charger. So starting from this side of the handlebar, you have a pass switch here, the high beam and the low beam, the indicators and the horn, and here the kill switch and the ignition. That's all pretty basic. Let's turn on the key. It's a decent looking dash. It says pairing mode and all, so that means you can connect your mobile with it. I haven't done that, so let's skip that part for now. Here what we can see is the time, the fuel meter, the tachometer, the speed, the gear position indicator, the voltage level indicator, and if you press this select button, it goes to the odometer, trip A, average fuel consumption for trip A, trip B, average fuel consumption for trip B. I think that's it. So you got all basic information, except the fact that this doesn't comes with a distance to empty. And one more thing is that the fuel tank is not that big compared to the adventure motorcycles. The fuel tank is still in par with street motorcycles. Throw of the headlight is kind of decent, neither too good, not too bad. So yes, let's go for a ride now. A decent sounding exhaust. Okay, let's roll. Okay, let's pull it hard. So you might have observed the motorcycle is actually pretty stable even when you take it to the higher revs, the red lines and all. So it's much stable, and it gives you a very nice feel that this motorcycle is much refined. There is very less amount of vibration. When you really ring out the throttle in the 4th gear or the 5th gear, you will feel a minor amount of vibration on the foot peg, otherwise not at all an issue. So what I feel is that this motorcycle is actually, the engine is more tuned for the mid-range performance. So the 11 torque is kind of okay, same thing that we have seen with the Gixxer 250. And when it comes to the top end as well, it kind of flats off after some time. but the mid-range is good. That's why you can actually play with this engine. So cruising at 90 is not at all a problem. You can comfortably be on that speed and tour on the motorcycle, and even we can push it to 120 or 130, but the speeds after 125 is little slow. It takes some time to reach the speed. I think what I've max done is something like 135 or 140, that's all. It didn't go beyond that. And if you have to ride the motorcycle inside city, the gearing is good actually. You don't have to shift a lot inside city. You can be in the second gear or the third gear if you are having too much of traffic in your city, and you can comfortably roam around. And the ground clearance is good. Yes, of course, this is an adventure motorcycle. Definitely we'll expect the ground clearance to be in par with other adventure motorcycles, and there are very less heating issues on this motorcycle. I have never felt that after riding for this long. And turning radius is kind of okay. Only thing is, since the motorcycle is a little tall, if you're a short guy, that might be an only problem. Otherwise it's not too bad, considering the fact that this motorcycle has a good wheelbase. So the suspension is actually on a street settings. It's not soft at all. It's not too hard as well, and it is giving good confidence while riding through open roads. And when it comes to the brakes, what I feel is that the braking is good. I kind of find it decent. Only one thing which I recollect is that when I rode the Gixxer 250, I felt the braking is a little better than that. So the reason might be, since this motorcycle is actually heavier than the Gixxer and it is using the same braking setup, it is pretty obvious that we might feel the braking to be a little more progressive. And when we look at the rider's triangle is really good. The handlebar is wide, no pressure put onto the handlebar. I'm sitting upright, and the footpeg is neither too forward set, it is rightly placed. That's what I'll say. One observation with the footpeg is that the rubber cap on the footpeg can be removed, so that means you can convert this footpeg to off-road footpegs. And to talk about the ownership aspects of this motorcycle actually comes on road for 2,70,000, and it has to be serviced once in 4,000 kilometers with a service charge of something like 2,000 to 2,200 rupees. And there is no mileage claim from Suzuki as of now, but based on the Gixxer 250 owners, I feel that we'll be getting something like 30 kilometer to 33 kilometer. So let's see whether this motorcycle fits you or not. So if you're looking for a good motorcycle for your city use, definitely this one is a perfect choice. I'll tell you why. Because this has good road presence. This is much easy to ride. It's not too heavy to ride and all. Because the other adventure motorcycles in the segment that we can have is the Himalayan or the KTM Adventure 250 and all. So compared to those machines, this is not too tall, not too heavy, so much comfortable to ride inside city. If you are riding alone or if you are riding with pillion, no problem. Only one observation which I'm having when I'm having a pillion is that the suspension actually sits a lot, and the suspension actually works better when you have a pillion. And when it comes to highways, you can comfortably cruise at a speed of 90 to 110 all day long, because this is a proven engine. You don't have to worry about ringing the throttle all day long, so that's also kind of fine. And since there is an option for top rack, you can have a top box setup. You can tie your saddlebags comfortably and go for tows as well. And when it comes to off-roads, this is where I have some observation again to bring it to the table. So the first one is, I feel the handlebar is a little lowered. Even with my height, I expect the handlebar to be a little taller, because the reach towards the handlebar is a bit difficult. I have to put myself down to grab to the handlebar, which is not that great with this kind of a setup. And the second thing is the torque. The low end torque is not that great for an off-roading motorcycle. It's good for road use, but when it comes to off-roads, you might have seen with the Himalayan and all, the initial torque is more. So the initial torque is which keeps you going in the first gear and the second gear in off-roading. So that is not there with this motorcycle. It's a decent torque. I don't say it's bad and all, it's decent torque. And the most important thing is the suspension is actually street setup. That means it is more onto a stiffer side. This is not allowing me to move around in off-roading. And yes, the suspension travel is less. Basically, I feel that the suspension doesn't like off-roading that much. So altogether, I'll say that it's a good road-going motorcycle. In my opinion, I'll say that if you are looking for a core off-roading motorcycle, you might have to look for a Himalayan or a KTM Adventure 250 and all. But if you're looking for a reliable motorcycle, road touring motorcycles, then I'll say that definitely this motorcycle is a really good choice. And finally, I have to thank 9 Star Suzuki in Bengaluru for providing this motorcycle for this long review. They're having multiple branches in Bengaluru. You can check it out. And also, they have been awarded recently for their excellence in sales and service. So do check them out if you are planning to buy this motorcycle. So I hope you will like this video and this video is helpful for you. And as always, show some love in the form of likes and comments. See you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.